What's up, guys? What is up? I am Jacoby, and I got my boy Thomas, your black and white host, the best
Every
black and
time.
white, the best salt and pepper duo out there in this world. I'm telling you that right now. Salt and pepper didn't even like salt and pepper group shouldn't
Hey,
even
it's
like
not
they
it's not
stole.
live.
It is live.
All right, keep going. I'm telling you, it's not live. I'm just kidding. It's live. I'm
Good job, Thomas.
just
Now we
saying.
have something to cut. But anyway, the best salt and pepper duo. Salt and pepper stole the name from us. You know
No,
what I'm saying?
no,
Yeah, they did.
I can't.
We we coined the term. Like they looked at our friendship and was like, "Bruh, that's salt and pepper. That's yin and yang."
We did not know each other in the '90s.
Yeah, we did,
You
bro.
were barely born in the '90s.
I was born in '94. You
Yeah.
know, we was born in the same. We were raised in the same household, same neighborhood.
Not. No, we weren't.
What do you mean?
You were in Alabama. I was in Mississippi. Not even close.
I forgot about that part. Anyway, so guys, we got a show for you guys. You already see it in the title. Um, so right now we got a guest on the line. I think I'm gonna say
On
that.
the nine.
Yeah, I like saying a guest on the line versus a guest, right? And he's a returning guest that has been on the line before. He's been
Oh my God.
on this line before, and it is my boy Rodney. My boy Rodney, all the way from the Alabamas. Um,
Alabama.
from the
I swear.
Alabamas. So,
Nobody takes us
So it's
seriously.
more than one.
Thomas, Thomas, go ahead. What'd you say, Rodney?
You said Alabama's like it's more than one.
It is more than one. That's what Buster be
Our
saying.
education system going off right there.
Well, he from Mississippi, so it's bleeding over to the Bamas. But go ahead, Thomas. Go ahead. Introduce these topics, and
Uh huh.
we could get this show started.
No.
Why
Yes.
were you staring at me
So
like that?
we're all looking at the same screen.
Oh, well, you just look.
Like, I'm just looking at the screen. Good gosh, this is terrible start. Super
so,
sorry. Thank you for the two of y'all that are just for some stupid reason staying around. We do have a very interesting show tonight. Yeah, you can see it in the title. We're going to be talking about racism. Um, I feel like, for personally, racism has been on an uptick since probably 2010 from my end. But I feel like it has really ramped up since COVID, and uh, and I want to see it eradicated. I feel like most everybody in the world wants to see racism eradicated. Um, and so we're going to talk about that tonight. We want to talk about a few different topics concerning racism, and the first one that we're going to start off with is what is real racism? Like let's get to a common ground of an understanding of like what can we all agree to of what racism actually is. And Rodney, since you're our guest, we'll lay out the red carpet, my friend, and we'll let you start with like your understanding, whether you know Webster's dictionary's version or like what you see it as from your perspective. Let's throw our perspectives out there. Let's see if we can agree, like find a base layer of what racism is.
Yeah. So first off, racism is a system. Racist is the belief that a race is superior or inferior to another. Prejudice is the hatred of another race. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Mm-hmm.
that's the way it is. In from my understanding, which if I'm not mistaken, that pretty much is the definition. If I mean I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. but it's just like racism is a system. Like I said, racist is the belief of a ethnicity being superior or inferior to another, and being prejudiced is a hatred for another group of people.
I won't disagree. I won't disagree with you, but I do think, and I appreciate that you broke it down in those three categories, because I don't think you're wrong. But I think an issue that we have today is that everybody, and I mean all spectrums, no matter what race you're from or whatever side of the track you come from, I feel like most everybody in the conversation, they just lump it all together.
Mm-hmm.
You
Well,
know?
according to the definition, it is lumped together. It's a
Yeah, but
system.
go ahead.
It's a system. Uh, it's prejudice. It's discrimination. Uh, yeah, it's oppressive.
Right.
So
You looked up racism, correct?
yeah,
Yeah. So racism is going to have that umbrella, but
Yeah, the umbrella part, yeah.
right. But directly, that's why I had those subcategories to establish what do these mean, because um, again, like I said, racism is a system, but if somebody is racist, that is a individual as opposed to a system. You know, hopefully
well,
that makes sense.
well, that's
Well,
an action.
let's
That's like
tackle
that person was
go ahead.
racist, past tense. Racism is like,
Racist is not a past tense word.
well, it's like using like a or action word, not past tense, but
Mm.
more so action. It's like that person's being racist, right? Uh,
They are racist. Like it's not a past or present. It's, I mean, or few.
but
It's just
you can't deny that people haven't said it in that framework. Like that
yeah,
person's
we
being
can.
racist.
Yeah,
So you
Well,
denying that?
you can also have moments of like, oh shoot, my bad. Like, I didn't know
people
that was
don't
something
say that's
racist or
racism.
whatever.
They don't say that was racist. I mean, they don't say that was racism. They say that was racist.
That's what I
As in,
said.
yeah, okay,
Yeah,
I think
I
y'all are
was
saying,
saying.
yeah, I think y'all are saying the same thing.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, okay. Now, what you about to say,
So,
Thomas?
well, no, I think so. Let's talk about the umbrella for sake of time. Let's throw all three of those together under racism,
Mm.
as and that's what people, and we can just kind of talk through that, kind of simultaneously. So if you're talking about, hey, somebody said something racist, or like you think like, nah, they are actually a racist.
Mm.
Like let's talk about. I think we're smart enough to keep that fluid. And if we need to, then we can break it down, from prejudice to a racist or racism, from like a systemic issue. Is that good with y'all? Perfect. So, let's Ronnie, keep going on that. Like, so taking those three together, like what is your what is real racism currently right now? Like, if you could, if there's one thing you could eradicate, like from what you see under the umbrella of racism, like what would you eradicate?
It's the system, and so when I say the system, it's the things that are put in place to either demonize one group and what's the word, praise another, along with um, disenfranchise one group and help another. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of the system that in general just makes it harder on one group and easier on another.
How does one target one group?
How is racism targeting black people? Is that what you're asking? Because
Yeah.
yeah. So
Well,
for one, if you look at, because here's the thing, y'all got to remember the people who are in charge, like the folks that are in Congress, presidents, the Secretary of State, all these different little. Look at how old those people are. Segregation ended when my father was like 10 years old. He's 67. You know what I'm saying? Like he was like a child. He was like somewhere between 8 and 10, if I'm not mistaken, when segregation ends. So the people who are in
When you're
charge
saying
right
segregation, what do you mean? So you mean like school segregation or?
all of that, the whole umbrella of segregation period. There was a time frame when there was intentional segregation legally, right? As in the separation of ethnicities on purpose by law.
Yeah, so you're thinking like you're thinking. I'm just trying because technically, with the Emancipation Proclamation in 1865, segregation ended there. That's the technical. But I'm thinking. I'm trying to understand. Like, you're thinking like when you would walk down the road and you would see like a whites only sign for like washing
So,
your
right,
clothes.
is that
You
not
know.
segregation?
Yeah. I'm just trying to make sure like that's what you're talking about.
Yes, that's
That
what I'm
type of
talking
stuff.
about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that segregation ended when my dad was still a kid. So what I'm getting at is the people that favored that or even would have preferred things to you got to think, I'm like, these folks didn't disappear, they still exist. You know what I mean? So those are some of the people that are still in charge today, which is why certain laws are in place that target black people, why certain incentives are not given or given to certain people and not the others. So for example, when I kind of talked about earlier about how being marketed a certain way or whatever, example, statistically speaking, people make the assumption that black people steal the most, and really it's white people. They have this assumption that it's black people that's on welfare and Section 8, and really the majority of it is white people. And I'm not saying that to say one group is better or worse. What I am saying that for is the way that they portray black people in movies, in TV, in music, and some of that is our own fault, of course, which I'm gonna address some of that. But it portrays black people in a negative image. And when you look at TV shows or anything, when it comes to white people, they're portrayed as positive or good. And I'm just like, they show the bad side, because there's bad in every ethnicity, there's good in every ethnicity, but they primarily show negative about black folks and primarily show positive about white folks. Hence the perception that black people steal the most when really white people do, with the perception that black men are more dangerous but white men commit more murders, you know what I'm saying, and more mass shootings. And again, I'm not saying one group is better or worse than the other. I'm using that as the point to convey the message that it's not an accident that black people are portrayed as negative and white people are portrayed as positive. But like I said, a wise person understands that there's good and bad on both sides, but I'm just talking about the marketing. And that marketing is used to justify whatever negative thing is done to a black person. It's the same thing happened in the Holocaust, where they would portray black people or Jewish people a certain way and gave the negative propaganda to make it so the people would be able to do negative things and it feel justified, or it would not get looked down upon because those are bad people anyway. And they're doing the same thing when it comes to the immigration stuff. They made immigrants look like they were all criminals when in actuality most immigrants are not. There's more criminals in America that are Americans than there are criminals, even from a percentage standpoint, than there are immigrants. And so I'm
Well,
just like,
on the immigrant thing, you have to segregate that. You have an immigrant, and then you have an illegal immigrant. Illegal immigrants did break a law. All of them broke a law coming into the
so if you're
country
saying
illegally.
the breaking of the
Well,
law is them being over here illegally, then sure. But the point is
Yeah.
they're not violent.
look,
It's
wait.
Well,
Before we get there,
like less than
let's go
3%.
ahead. Because you said Jews and black people, the Holocaust and stuff like that. I'm gonna unpack because that's really ironic because I mean Jews basically Jewish people run the music industry. So so black people and Jewish people still working together even after the Holocaust. So I guess that's good. But here's the
What got to
thing.
do with it?
Because you brought it up. But I'm
I
getting
guess
to a
that's
point.
good.
I'm getting to a point. So if that's the case, the marketing and the propaganda, right, is the thing. So all right. So name a black movie that was family that's
What do you
popular.
mean that was family?
A black movie by a black director that was a family movie.
I don't be knowing directors' names like that, but I can't.
Well, I'm just saying. But it's
If you
movies
just
that's
say like family movie, oh wait, I mean shit, you could say Tyler Perry.
no, don't count.
He's not a black
Why didn't he
director.
count?
The reason why I don't count Tyler Perry because the marketing he portrays is black men are terrible, and the women are strong. Black women are stronger.
That I will
I'm just
agree
saying.
that has been movies like that, but he has other ones too where it shows the message of the men's side, which is example of the family that prays.
Daddy's little girl.
Right. Yeah. So he does both. But you asked about who's a black director that does family movies, and that's one of them. So
No, I'm
that's
saying,
what I said.
but I'm saying like a list,
I don't know. Shit, I don't know directors' names like that. But it's
or
movies.
name a family movie outside of Tyler Perry that was black.
That, when you say a family movie, like
It's
give
black
me an
casted,
example of a
a
white
black
family.
casted, huh?
Yeah, I'm saying give me an example of a white family movie because I'm
A
trying to.
white, uh, a white family movie. I would say, uh, Sam is about this. Well, that's more like drama.
Because I'm like, that's what I'm like. What exactly is a family movie
Well,
exactly?
I
so
would
you
say
got
Click.
you could. I
Click,
think
Click,
TV shows.
Click
family
by Adam
movie, but
Sandler would be a family movie.
I think TV shows are a better thing to go for. So first off, you have
No,
Family Matters.
movies are
No,
because yes, the
why?
reason why
what
movies
about
are because I'm
Roscoe?
getting to a
What's that?
point.
The movie Martin was in Roscoe. Welcome Home Roscoe. I can't remember the name of it, but it was Martin Lawrence. That was a family movie.
Okay, that's a good
Yeah,
one.
Martin Lawrence Benefit. Yeah.
And
So
then
what's up?
Well,
What are you getting at though? What are
my
you trying to
point
say?
is there's way more hood movies
Mm-hmm.
about violence.
Yeah.
Everything that you said we're being marketed to, that we market to ourselves, that we idolize.
Right.
So my point is, it's like it's cool to like, you know, say I'm not denying that some people are marketing on purpose to persuade or brainwash people, but at the same time, we're doing the same thing. Like you can't stab your
Right.
own self or have a
Now,
knife.
let me address that because you are correct. We do it to ourselves as well. But what happens is the people who own it are the ones who decide what gets sold or what gets created. So, for example, if you look up how the music industry got into, because originally rap was about stories, consciousness, intelligence. It shifted into gangster rap because and even now, hell, like everybody talking about doing drugs and crap, right? All that came from the people higher up who have the money, who sign the artists, who decides what get pushed. This is not owned by black folks.
Man,
Now they use black folks to do it, just like they use black folks to kill Malcolm X, just like they use black folks to kill most black leaders that were in the civil rights movement and that type of stuff. But what I'm saying is they do the same thing. They get some person that's ignorant in poverty that don't know no better and they need to come up and then they pay this person all this money to behave this type of way.
so
And
if
so
the,
it's just
so if okay, so if they're paying for it to get out there, the people who consume it, do they not have like they don't have any power if the people don't give it power. So people
I
are
100.
giving it power. People.
Right.
So and here's the thing: most white people typically imitate black culture to fit in,
Mhm.
to try to fit
Right.
into society. So to in order to fit into society, if it takes being black, then who is actually
But here's the thing: they
mark
do it to
like
fit into society with us. They're not doing that overall.
why if they're running society, why would they care? Why would they need to okay, you get what I'm
They
saying?
don't. But
So
they don't. That's
the
what I'm saying.
marketing side,
It's not the
who's
wealthy people.
who's marketing? Like who's actually doing the mark? Are we not responsible for
Yeah,
the
absolutely. And
deepness?
that's where a person has to make sure they're not overly indulgent or at all, really.
Overly, man, I don't want my little cousins listening to any of that. And then,
Nah, but like I said, or at all. But my point is, if you take away them putting it in existence, because it wouldn't exist unless they allowed it to. Because like I said, it's a circumstance where we were like, well, hey, let's stop allowing this to happen. But again, it's a programming, if that makes sense. It's like we don't decide who gets allowed to what gets put on the news. You know what I'm saying? There's only, if I'm not mistaken, one network that's black owned. That's a news outlet. Everything else is, a white person. And then you got like I said, majority of the music industry at a time. It might not be so much now because more people are independent, but the vast majority of the time, if I could argue, it's like over 80% white owned, if not 100.
but who's
But
stopping? Who's stopping black people from actually? I mean, you said it's one person owns it, right? So who's
yeah,
stopping the rest?
you got to go watch this. There's a dude. I got to find his name, but if you got to hear his story and how hard it was for him to even get in that position, it took him to be connected with the right people, and then he got in there. But what I'm saying, it's extremely hard. But
I will
the
also
point
say,
is,
from a perspective of being like owning businesses and whatnot, I think Rodney, you're onto something with the fact that it's much more independent now. But
Mhm.
like, you also have to think like law of averages comes to play here, and so what the black community is 13% of the population, and
Mhm.
whites are 67% of the population. And
Mhm.
so just by the sheer fact of that, you have, and that's including kids and everything, like out of that 13% to take, not to take over, but to have more, like, you have one owned music industry thing. Like, I want, like, that probably matches like the percentage
In proportion
for
to, yeah, I get
in
what you're trying.
proportion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, and
but
so
it's
there's
not.
a lot of that goes into play. But I think we're onto something bigger here, and that is because I agree with you, Rodney. There's a joke. There's a joke. Very, y'all probably heard it too. They always killed the black person first in a movie.
Hmm.
Like, if it was a scary movie, if it was a war movie, and there was a black person in the group, it was like you were laughing to yourself. You're like, they're gonna kill that one first, you
Right.
know. And so
Or
I do
even
get your
those
point.
interviews with actors where they talk about how so many times before they ever got an actual good role, they was always offered to be the guy in a dress, to be the slave, to be the gangster, to be the
Mm-hmm.
one that gets killed. It's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like the
Well,
black folks ain't in charge,
I'm a
and they just they take advantage of the ones that just need to make some money, that don't have the mind to pass up what they need
But I
to
think
feed their.
it goes deeper than that, because from a white man, and I'll tell you, from a white man, the only thing that's portrayed about white men on TV is that we are worthless, stupid, and dumb. You can look at pretty much every single sitcom that has been made since the 90s, and if there's a father in there, the father's worthless. It's the mom. The mom schedules everything. The mom makes all the jokes on the dad. Like, he's the punchline. And so what I think
What I will
is
say
a
is this:
bigger issue. Go ahead.
I, I was just like, I don't see that. I actually have the complete opposite view, but I
Mm-hmm.
haven't watched TV like that to know what's going on now. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that
Yeah,
is what is
yeah.
now. When I was, I'm like, how old are you, Thomas?
35.
Yeah, I'm 38, so we ain't too far apart. But at the time when I probably watched the most TV was like before 25, and
Mm-hmm.
so my perception is primarily off of that. I can't speak on now, so if you're seeing that now, then I'll roll with it. But because I can't speak against it because I don't really watch TV like that, or the
The
TV
last
shows
time
I
I
watch.
saw the last time I saw them portray men of any kind, truly men of any kind, in a good light was probably 80s. Like I
Yeah.
think of Family Matters, Carl Winslow.
Mhm.
You have Bill Cosby. Like I always saw him good. You have Different Strokes.
Mhm.
You had the Jeffersons. Like, and
Good
that's
times.
it.
Right. Yeah.
Really,
Back
yeah.
in the
Like,
day, it was like that, and I do agree with you too, because as time has gone on, it came from that kind of feminist movement that just more and more so they talk negative about men in general. So I see what you're getting at. Um,
but
but
what
of
I'm
course,
trying to say there is, I think
yeah,
they lump us all together because the main driver I feel like for racism today is those that are in power. As long as they can get you or me or you and an Asian or us and women or whoever to be at odds with each other over anything, then
right,
then we're not looking at them and saying, "Hold
right.
up, why
100%
are you
agree.
why are you pitting us against each other?"
Yeah, because it makes it easier for them to control us and manipulate.
Correct.
Because racism at a time didn't exist. This is a fairly new thing, like in history. And so
Yeah.
it's like if you go back to the early, I don't know, parts of America, and they originally had indentured servants, and then it was like black and white people were kind of equal. They were just all poor. And how
Mm-hmm.
the wealthy kept everybody divided is they created the racism and like, oh well, slavery is for black people, and at least the white people are above them, and that's how they kept the poor white folks from joining forces with the black folks
That's
because
false.
they was just like, well, hey, let them feel like they got a rank above at least a black person,
The
and
reason
then
why
there's just like, hey, you're just like us. I feel like they do the same thing now because I know you guys feel some type of positive way about Trump, but I'm like, I'm gonna just throw this out there. I'm like, that man is not trying to help white people. He's trying to help rich people. You know what I'm saying? And he kind of goes out his way to kind of make it seem like he's for the working man, and most of the stuff he does is it helps rich people, like Dave
Well, we
Chappelle.
can we can have
well,
that
one
discussion
second.
another time. But
I
you
want to
just
I want to hit on that point where you said they only made it for black people, the indentured servants. I want to clarify, not to try to shame you or whatever. I just want to clarify because we did do a podcast on this already, or an episode on this already. It was Irish people,
Mm-hmm.
German people, and African people on that ship, and they all were, or and Europeans. And they were called rednecks. Uh, and that is the true history. They all had the ability to buy themselves out, but black people. And the reason being that they didn't have the ability to buy themselves out is because they could not communicate with Africans. Everybody else they could easily communicate, like to be able to
Oh,
get something.
that ain't why they couldn't buy themselves out. They did it because they, like I said, they needed to create a divide.
That
I
at
don't know
at
if
that
I
point,
don't know
I
if I
think you
agree with
can.
the creative divide.
Yeah, that's. But I mean, the divide. I mean, did you, if you seen our episode about Anthony Johnson, who was the first black, or not the first, but he was a slave owner. He had over 1,000 acres of land, and he had
Mm-hmm.
slaves. He owned slaves, and created, he initiated the whole lifelong slavery.
Yeah,
So it
and
was indentured servants, and he went to court
yeah,
to fight
I
for
know
lifelong.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the initial way to keep people separate was to establish that slavery was by color, as opposed to, as you kind of talked about, indentured servitude. So once that
Yeah.
then
Would
got
you
created,
would you agree with me that, or would you consider the idea maybe it wasn't a color issue, a race issue, it was a class thing? Could we agree on that?
originally it was class, yes. But that's what I was saying before, because if it was just based off of class, then the majority of people would have rose up against the wealthy because they're screwing them over. And how did they get them to separate? Was like I said, hey, black is slavery or slaves, you other guys indentured services, servitude, or whatever the case is. And now a white person feels like, well, at least I'm not a slave, and now they're not relating to them anymore the same. Like if everybody felt like we're all slaves or we're all in the same position, then we all fight together against this whatever the
But
powers that
indentured
be.
servants were only 7 to 8 years, and then they were
That's
free.
fine, great,
Black,
and that's
white.
good. And I'm saying that again, the separation is where the racism came from now, where people have the perception that black people are inferior or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't quote me. I don't know everything, right? But they talked about that a black man being one fifth of a man or one third of a man or something like that.
Mm-hmm. It was,
It
I think
was
it's
just
one, it was
basically
one better.
yeah. So it's basically like, hey, black people are inferior. That's why they're enslaved. This justifies why we can do this or should be doing this to them. But the white person that's an indentured servant, well, you're better than the black guy. You're not a slave. You're better than them. So again, it's the separation. They're just like, hey, let them feel like they're better so that we can do this and they can't rise up against us, because if they was to join forces. And I feel like the same thing happens today when it comes to uh, immigration, black folks, Hispanic folks, white folks that think the same similar stuff. I'm like, is it division of women versus men, all this stuff, black, blue versus red, all the division. It just makes us easier to manipulate.
So to move forward there, it was called the Three-Fifths Compromise of 1787, part of the United States Constitution, Article 2, Section 2. It was a political agreement to count only 3/5 of the enslaved black population for congressional representation and taxation. Not a declaration that black people were 3/5 human, but I do, yeah. Like once you have the idea, like, oh, we're only counting 3/5 of them, then that means they're only 3/5 human. Like the sinful mind goes that route. But to move on, let's
They
go
did look
to
at black people as if they weren't human, though. You know that.
yeah, they did. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like once you if you put stuff into law that makes anybody sit there and seem like they're less than, the mind will automatically apply a further degradation of who they are. And
Right.
no matter who you are, what you are, like the mind, anybody's mind will do that. But moving on, let's this has been good. What is there such thing that you guys consider like lazy racism? And what I mean by that is it's used as a cop out, not actually being racist, but somebody just wants to shut somebody up, and so they're like, "You're being racist." Do you think that can apply?
I definitely think that happens for sure. And I don't like when people do that jump, because it degrades when real racism happens, and it makes people not take the real racism as serious when it really does happen. But yes, I've seen it. I've witnessed it. Like I was working with a dude. I remember when I was an electrician, and dude was like, he got a low report. Told my man, that dude racist. I was like, nah, bro, you just don't fucking work. I'm watching you. You know what I'm saying? So it happens. Don't get me wrong. That does happen. I've seen it plenty of times. But like I said, I hate when they do it, because it's just like when something actually racist happens. Now, I think this is the perception of white guys. They're just like, oh, here we go again. And it's just like, so it's hard for them to, I guess, accept genuine racism when it happens, because of the times when someone was doing the, as you called, lazy racism. They might have experienced that an extra amount of times, and now they think everything is that.
Yeah. I I think speaking for black culture and 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 where I'm from,
Where you from?
I Mobile, Alabama.
Oh,
Uh
okay. Same
so
place.
so speaking for black culture, man, it's heavy. We always talked about like a white person being racist for any type of way. If we felt any type of way, we felt any type of way, we was like, that man might be racist. Or that lady might be racist. Or if they looked at me like with a side eye or whatever, like I'm like, oh, that person might be racist. And
Did you saying that's what you did?
no, I said black culture and where I'm from,
Mm-hmm.
everybody was like that. Everybody's still like that. Every
I ain't gonna put it that wide.
bruh,
It happens. It
even
happens, but it ain't
even
like
in the
that.
company, even in the company, I ain't gonna mention the company name, but even in that company, everybody was still playing victim, even though you had the ability to make a lot of money.
I don't know who you was hanging with. I don't know. I just didn't get that experience.
Hey, bro, I'm just saying, a victim mentality is heavy, um,
Facts.
and so it's easy to equate if I feel offended.
To assume everything is racism. I get what you're saying. Because, but that's where I was kind of getting at. That's the problem. Yeah, there is an issue where people make that assumption, and it's not always the case. And I think most black people can acknowledge that. But I think what has to also be acknowledged is that the system does exist. You know what I'm saying? They're not dreaming this stuff up. They're not, because is everything that happens racism or racist? No. But it does exist, and of course, what happens is sometimes a person can be a little hyper aware. You know what I mean? And they perceive things that are perceive things as racism that is not. But also at the same time, the other end is some people can be ignorant and not realize what they're saying or doing is racism or racist. So the same way a black person can assume something is racist towards them that isn't, sometimes white folks don't realize they're saying something or being racist. And that's happened to me just as many times as I've seen a black person perceive something racist that wasn't.
Okay,
So,
well, I experienced this when I was in high school. I was fat. I was obese. Every time I was around people, everybody always would make like certain types of remarks about weight around me, and then I would start to
mhm,
feel like they just been like bullies, like they been
mhm,
fat phobic, because like I mean I'm fat. They should just accept that I'm fat. Like Rodney, when he told me, like, man, like I care for you, dude. I think you should, work out and maybe be healthier. You know, what I'm saying, uh, I felt fat phobic, man. You was being fat phobic because
who me?
maybe you ain't realized you was being fat phobic, but yeah, when I was fat, you was talking to me about working out. Matter of fact, I
Mhm.
think you invited me to work out. That was
So
low
you
key.
you
You
you took
low
that
key
as a
being fat
negative?
phobic, huh?
Are you
Yeah,
trying to use this as an analogy for something?
it is. This is real. Like there's people who want to be fat, and there's
Mm-hmm.
people who want to stay fat. And if you try to tell them that they should lose weight or be healthy, you're fat phobic. That's literally the same thing with racism or being black. It's like if you say anything you know that is just normal, like I have eyes, I have senses, I have opinions. If I express anything on my mind, I have to retain and filter because you are sensitive about
Let me say what I
the
think you're
color of my
trying to say
skin.
a little better than you're saying it. So what it sounds like you're trying to say
You said
is the same way that you could perceive everything that I say as being fat phobic because really you're not perceiving me being like encouraging. You're not looking at that as encouraging. You're looking at it more as uh, I'm trying to belittle you for being fat. Is the same way that a black person might perceive saying stop being lazy or work harder and like you're just being racist. I get it. However, that is, I said earlier, there are definitely times when a person assumes something is racist that is not. But at the same time, there are situations where a person is being racist and doesn't know it or doesn't realize it. So both happen. Because I'm with you on that. Because I'm like, yes, that does happen. I 100% agree with you. Even I have at a time perceived something to be racist that after I thought about it, actually that wasn't the case. You know what I mean? But I also have just as many times had times when somebody was saying or doing something racist, and I just let them slide because I'm like, okay, he doesn't. I genuinely think he just doesn't fucking know any better. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm gonna let him slide with
Yeah.
that. For example, I don't even remember what the guy said, but I remember I went to a chiropractor and the white guy said something, and I could tell he was trying to be friendly, and I think he thought he was being relatable, but he said something to me that was racist, and I just kind of looked at him for a second, and I think after he said it, he kind of realized how that could have been perceived, and he kind of was like, "Oh well, you know," and I just like it's all good, and I just let him slide with it because I don't think he was trying to be, but you know he was. So
If you don't mind me asking, do you remember what he said?
I don't remember. I don't. I wish I did. I just remember thinking like, "You fucking idiot." I was like, "Boy, I could tear you up right now." You know what I'm saying? I was like, I could really mess you up." But I was just like, "I think you're just stupid, and I'm gonna let you slide because you're an idiot." And I just let it go.
Okay.
And I remember the guy the actual chiropractor. He looked at him. He looked at me when he said it. He was just like, "Oh no!" And I think he thought he might have been finna leave a customer, but I kept, you know, what I'm saying. Like I said, is I genuinely think the dude was ignorant. I actually think most white people are not racist. I think, but I do think majority of them are ignorant to how what they're saying or doing could be racist or prejudice. I think that, but I don't think majority of white people hate black folks or think they're superior or inferior. You know, I don't really think that's the majority. I definitely know there are some, right? I don't think that's the majority, but I do think the majority are ignorant to how something they can say or do or how it, you know, they're not able to connect the dots because they have so little experience with black people.
I'm gonna
Real
bring. I'm
quick,
gonna. I'm
Thomas.
gonna.
I'm sorry. Can I say this real quick? Please?
No,
But
Please?
I'm kidding. Go. Go. Go.
Pretty
Go.
please? Okay. Look, what has okay, when somebody experienced racism as a black person, like I could say that I haven't experienced racism, or I could say I have experienced racism based on the definition term prejudice, assuming having an assumption of based off of culture, right? But what did it do? Did it stifle you? Did it did it stop your heart? Did it stop you from moving? Did it stop you from being able to work? Did it stop you from being able to read? Did it stop you from being able to grow? Did it stop you from being able to work out? Did it stop you from being able to travel? Did it stop you?
what are you asking me?
When that person when that person experienced racism, do you, did it stop them? Or if you experience racism, did it stop you from living your life? Did it stop you from living your life?
I mean, I moved on.
Okay.
Now,
And
now
you
here's the thing. Again, there's a difference between being racist and racism.
I got you. But my point is what whichever one it is,
Yeah.
if you experience it, any flavor of it, it doesn't stop you. You're
Yeah,
still here.
if you handle things properly, absolutely, you can
What
definitely win despite that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's not racism, and nowadays anyway, is not so powerful that we can't succeed despite it. So if that's what you're getting at, I 100% agree. But if you were getting at that it doesn't exist, then I 100% disagree.
No, I think racism does exist, but it's just like uh, whirlwinds or tornadoes exist, hurricanes, uh, things that we don't expect come up, and it
Mm-hmm.
happens, and you deal with it, you move on.
Mm-hmm.
It's life. Like you have lows and you have highs in life. You have lows and highs in people. You have um, terrible people. You have great people, and then you have people in the middle who are just vegetables, figurative and literal, right? Um, and so my point is you have this whole thing, and it doesn't stop any of it.
It does. It's not. It's not. It's not that it does nothing. That's definitely not the case because there's going to be too many examples I could use where it did cause problems. Like for example, my dad was in the military, and he
Hmm.
told me all the little stories of how I realized that there was a ripple effect that affected my life because of his racist supervisors. You know what I mean? So it's just like it does affect something. Now, did I turn out to be okay anyway because I have a hell of a good father? Absolutely. And because I had the right mindset? Absolutely. So that's what I'm getting at when I say, can you overcome? It's absolutely yes. But does it affect things? Yes, it really does. We can't sit here and act like it's not a problem because not everybody has the resources I had, the help that I had, the knowledge I had, and so everybody doesn't overcome that stuff. Can they? Yeah, if they have the proper knowledge, skills, and resources. I was fortunate that I did. Like I come from a family where every man takes care of their kids. I don't have any. I can't find not one man in my family anywhere that don't take care of their kids. Even if the broke ones take care of their kids. You know what I'm saying? So it's an environment, and I had resources. So even though we had these situations with my dad where he had to raise me and my sister pretty much by himself. I had aunties, I had uncles, I had a village. And what I'm getting at is things can be overcome with the right resources, knowledge, and skills, but everybody doesn't get access to all the same stuff. And for those folks who don't have the resources, knowledge, and skills, they get screwed. And so it's just like we have to acknowledge that yes, racism can be overcome and that you can succeed despite it, but you cannot ignore the fact that it does exist and that a lot of people are getting messed up because of it. Everybody don't get the same opportunity.
I,
So that brings us into another phase, and I think Roddy, you might have answered your part of it, but in 2026, it's not 2025 anymore. In 2026, and I'm going to break it down between individual racism
Mm-hmm.
and like institutional racism. Okay, the first I'm going to ask on the first one with individual racism. Does individual racism matter today? And I'm going to
Yes.
preface that. I'm going to preface that by saying, I, for the things that I see, what is called like on an individual basis, what is called racism, is maybe like an inappropriate joke, um, or like yeah, I'll just say inappropriate joke. Like, and I'll use me for example. Like, I am very blessed with being 5'7", and my tall brothers, all of them, love to make fun of how short I am. So,
Mm-hmm.
are they being shortists? Like, should I be so offended
No,
and be
see
like,
that wouldn't be. See, you gotta
but
you gotta remember, prejudice and racism is two different things.
yeah, but
bruh,
most, and again, I'm breaking between individual and institutional. Like the stuff that was happening to your dad in the military, I would call that institutional.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was not institutional coming from the top down because everybody was worth nothing in the military.
I would
Um,
actually call that individual, and here's why.
mhm.
Because that particular person had a negative perception of black people, and if a person He could be a supervisor, he could be a police officer, he could have been a restaurant owner, he could have been somebody that just has power over a decision or a result or whatever. That person was racist, and that then his decision or behavior or choice affected somebody else. That's an individual. Now, when we talk about institution, that's when I'm going to say a actual program put in place to cause a problem or disparity or separation or whatever the case is. This is like higher level stuff to me. But individually, I'm like, you could have just been my supervisor and have a negative thought towards black people, and now you're affecting my household. You know, that's not a system. That was that individual being in charge
And
of me was racist.
I think the further we get from a moral code, that it gets worse for everybody involved. Like you look at DEI right now, and at the root of DEI, it separates everybody. You have to see everybody as a color. You have to see everybody as a race. You have to see everybody as a gender, as a sex, instead of just seeing. Instead, well, no, that's not a perspective. Like that is DEI practices. Instead of seeing everyone. No, that's what DEI is. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Like that's not my perspective. Like that is exactly what DEI is.
But you look at it as a problem, correct?
I do look at DEI as a problem because it's hiring practices. What issue I have too is like when you fill out like job applications, and I feel like it's always been this way. They're like, we don't use this for hiring practices. Mother trucker, yeah, you do. They ask you your race. They ask you your gender. Sometimes they ask like how old you are. Like that resume should be the only thing that matters. Period. Right. Your pure skill set should be the only thing that matters. You should never know my race. You should never know my gender. You should never know which side of the tracks I came from. Like none of that crap.
Yes, that works. But this is why I said perspective. So let me throw a different view on that, because it sounds like, and I can understand why, that you look at DEI or what's the affirmative action as an issue, and here's why I don't. When we talked about earlier about systematic racism, this is an unintentional thing, and sometimes it is intentional, but imagine the ownership rate of businesses between black people and white people is dramatically different. And I don't know the real percentage. Maybe you can look it up real quick while I'm talking. But look at, let's say, what percentage of businesses or Fortune 1,000 companies, Fortune, just anything that's worth over any businesses that are worth over 5 million. How many of those are black owned versus white owned? And here's what I'm getting at. The reason I said DEI is important or affirmative action matters is because people naturally, and this is not racist, they naturally hire through association. They're going to hire their nieces, their nephews, their cousins, their friends, their co-workers, the people they went to college with, the folks that they know and trust already, right? So if people naturally hire through association, which again is not racist, and white people own everything, that directly excludes most black folks, not because they think black people are inferior, but because naturally we hire through association. And if they do that, we don't even, as a black person, a lot of times get a chance because they're going to give their friend the opportunity, their cousin the opportunity, their niece, nephew, their family the opportunity. And again, that's not racist. It's just natural. Because if a black person owns it too, they're going to do this. If an Asian person owns it too, they're going to do the same. People hire through association. So how do we give a black person an opportunity, despite the fact that most businesses are owned by white folks and they hire through association? Well, we have to put this in place to give a black person a chance. But the white folks is...
What is no, because Rodney, you work in a business that is purely based off of merit. You can't build a business more based off of merit than what your company is based off of.
Absolutely,
Okay?
but that's not every
And
corporation doing that.
no, it's not every corporation. But my
Right.
point is that in America, like at the true base of like a capitalist society where a product offering and price matter the most, at the end of the day, if a black-owned business creates a better product and offers a better price, that at some point down the line, if they can make it past that like 5-year block of, you know, I built my business and I made a profit within 5 years, then they're going to start taking over. Like you don't need
That's
those.
my point.
Hey,
That's not the same thing what I'm talking about. Because
guys,
I agree with you on that. My point was that if there are businesses that are primarily white owned and
Yeah.
there's not very many black owned businesses, and we have to get hired by a company somewhere, and people naturally hire through association, we could have equal resumes, but you know Jerry and you don't know me. This ain't racist.
Mhm.
You're gonna pick Jerry because you know Jerry.
let me ask you a question, Rodney.
And
Would you be
that's what that people hire through association. So
No, I don't
if
disagree with the hiring through association
right,
at all. I
so
just don't.
that's right. So that's what I'm saying. If people naturally hire through association, the vast majority of the people who work here are white, the owners are white, and you don't know any black folks, I don't have no way in the door. You don't know who I am. You don't know I'm that good. We have an equal resume. You're going to pick the person you know, which is fair. But what's unfair is that a black person might not ever get a real shot just because he don't know anybody.
look?
They're
Listen,
not going to
wait,
get a real
wait,
shot
Thomas,
there.
wait, Thomas.
Go, Jacoby.
Yeah, Rodney, would you be open to a part 2 of this? Because I think this is really good. It's
Okay.
yeah. We continue the same
Oh yeah,
conversation,
'cause
but part
I'm
2.
like yeah, because I'm feeling I'm supposed to be headed to this movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You movie.
You going
But
to
yeah,
AMC?
wait.
Yeah.
Hey, but real quick, I want to say this before we wrap up. Look,
Mm.
I don't support all black businesses. Uh,
I
they
don't either.
they terrible. Majority of them
Now,
are terrible.
here's
No, no, no,
what
no, no,
makes me
no. Let me
argue.
finish what I'm saying. Let me hey, I got the mic. Look,
I can't
literally.
let you
I
walk
had the
away with
talking
that.
stick.
Hey. Most black businesses I've been to, trash. Most black people I talk to, outside of you the first one, maybe because of live stream, or whatever. But like on 1-on-1, hey, everybody like, bruh, trash. It's seldom you get good customer service and great food with a black business, or you get great customer service or a good service with a black business. They are far and few in between, and
Now
it is a
here's where I
big.
go back to the propaganda thing. Here's where I
Not,
go
it
back to
ain't
the
no propaganda. It's
It is
life.
because I'm finna make this make sense and I gotta roll.
All right.
So the same way you just said that all these black owned businesses is trash, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many times have you ever said in your entire life this white owned business is trash?
Numerous.
Plenty of times.
You no, not this business is trash. How many times in your life have you specifically said this white business is trash?
Oh,
Numerous times.
You never said that
not
shit.
I
not
have.
You've never said that shit in your life. So anyway,
you.
my point is, this is part of the propaganda crap I be talking about.
No, it,
How when listen to me. How
I mean, you
have
cut
this
me off first though.
I know, but I gotta go and I gotta make this
I
point
got
because I can't let you skate with that.
Go ahead.
You have this circumstance where you market when a black owned business fucks up, but when a white owned business, nobody I've never once in my life saw somebody post. See, this is why I don't fuck with white owned businesses. I've never seen
Who's
it once.
posting?
Nobody. I don't
that
care
about
about
black
I
business?
see
white or
people say
black.
that, Thomas. I
You
know
see white people. You
No,
see
no, I
white
don't-
people posting.
but they say this business. They don't say this white owned business.
Yeah, who
Okay,
started
then who's
black
saying
owned
the white
business?
owned?
Black
Who's saying that
people.
about black owned
Black
business?
people, the one
Hear me out,
who categorize it.
Hear me out. When a white business does bad, nobody says this white business messed me up. They say this business. when a black-owned business does bad, they don't say this business; they say that black business. That's my point.
You're seeing white people post this black business is a bad business.
No, I've never seen a white person post that because I think they know
Okay,
better.
then why are you
I'm
calling
saying
it
black
out?
people.
Because then there's no
I'm talking.
proof
I was talking
prejudice.
to
Maybe.
Jacoby. That's why. That's
Hey,
why I wasn't
this is
talking
a
about
good
you.
point. This is a good part to end. We got to
Right,
wrap
right.
up,
But my
guys.
point was, Thomas, because I ain't never seen a white person make that post. What I'm saying is black people doing this stupid crap to each other, where they'll
Oh,
say,
okay. I thought you were
yeah,
saying white people be posting that crap, and I'm
no,
like, man, they would
no,
get
no,
raked
no.
over the
That's
coals.
what I'm saying. No, they ain't that. I ain't never seen nobody that stupid. But what I am saying is black folks are sitting there, and Jacoby just basically did it too. A black owned business, oh man, they fucked up. The black business is the problem. When a white business, because you might not even know who owns the crap, when a business that was white or Asian or whatever, they don't say that Asian business messed me up, that Indian business owned me, that white business. They say the business, and you got this bad habit of black people doing this crap where you'll belittle, and this is another part of the propaganda where we get taught to think negative of each other because all this negative propaganda that gets put out don't just affect how white people see black people, it affects how black people see black people.
I won't disagree with you, but I will also say I think that also you have to take into effect the family effect. Nobody rats on each other's family more so than the rest of their family. Like I will sit there and make fun of white people all day long.
Exactly.
You see Asians probably make fun of Asian people all day long, so on and so forth. So I do get your point, but I do also think that that's just like a cultural thing. Like I see freaking white people be the dumbest idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't see it. I don't really see that as a problem. Let's pick this up.
Let-
Yeah, this
yeah.
is a good conversation.
It is a problem because, like I said, it's negative self-belief. Like, how hard are you making it for me to, as a black business owner, when every time a black person has a bad experience with a black business, that they call out black businesses, but when they had a bad experience with a white business, nobody says the white business is the problem. They just say that business.
Oh, I have an
I,
answer.
I about that point.
I have-
about that
You
point.
see what I'm saying?
Oh,
But yeah.
I have an answer, but I'm gonna give it to you next week. So
All right. Well,
we-
let me go and roll.
Enjoy the movie.
see you
Yes,
guys.
sir.
Thanks
All
for
right.
coming.